Good Friday afternoon. This is Torn in Two. You know what we do at this time. First thing, if you notice, I'm the co-host of this show, Melvin Burns II. My friend and my brother, Greg, is a little under the weather today, so you all send some prayers and good wishes his way. Brother Roberts, we hope that you're well and back in your regular seat come next Friday. I enjoyed doing this with you, brother. This afternoon, we're going to have the Honorable Judge Gregory Pittman with us for about a half an hour. Then after that, we're going to have the Muskegon Heights City Clerk, uh, Jennifer Ross, with us. And so without further ado, would you all please welcome to the microphone the Honorable Judge Gregory Pittman. Did I call you Gregory? I just said Judge Pittman. Sometimes I'm talking and my mind's not engaged at the same time. And I said, did I call him Greg Pittman or something else?
You call me Gregory, but hey, man, we grew up. I've just been forever, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your Honor, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you,
this afternoon. I know that there's a lot going on, but why don't you? We're about 10 days from Election Day. And aside from all the other things
11,
you do, and
11 to be exact.
Okay, so somebody's counting, huh? Aside from you currently sitting on the bench and all the other things you do, you are also engaged in an election at this time.
Right.
Why don't you, just for somebody out there who may not know, tell folks a little bit in a quick intro who you are, what you're doing now, and what seat you're running for.
Thank you, and it's good to see you as always.
Yes, sir,
my friend.
Yes.
So I am currently serving as probate court judge. That's my designation. I am also serving by appointment of the Michigan Supreme Court as the chief judge of both the probate and circuit courts here in Muskegon County.
Mm-hmm.
My docket, the work that I am responsible for, is full-time in the family court.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
What I am running for is I am running to move from the probate court, which is my designation, to the newly created 14th Circuit Court seat. That seat was signed into law by the governor back in February.
Okay. So this is a brand new position for 14th
brand new position.
Okay.
No one has ever sat there.
Okay. Now, Judge Pittman, how long have you been on the bench?
I am in my 24th year. I was appointed to the bench in 1998. I was serving as magistrate in the 60th District Court.
Okay.
From 1996 up to my appointment. So I've been a member of the judiciary since for 26 years.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so this is about what, third, fourth time you've been up for re-election?
Let's see, I had to run to retain the seat in 1998. Okay. Then I had to run again in 2000. Then I had to run again in 2006, 2012, 2018. That's 5 elections.
Wow.
So I am now running in my 6th election.
Okay. Yeah. And I know every year campaigns are different. I want to get into the current campaign, but for people who may not know, running for a judge is a little different. We see campaign ads, we see people endorsed by people and getting endorsements. Running for judge is a little different. There's some nuances a little different than maybe the candidates, the state reps and county commission seats that we see people running for. Why don't you tell people a little bit of the differences when you're running for a judgeship?
Well, I appreciate that. And you are absolutely correct, Mel. There is, we are running as non-partisans. That means we're not coming from a party, and essentially the ideology and the attitudes and all of that goes along with being a member of a particular party. I don't ascribe to what the Democratic Party platforms are, nor do I ascribe to what the Republican Party platforms are, or any of the third party type platforms are. And that's because we should come to this work as judges without people being able to say you have preconceived notions and ideas about things, period, about circumstances in our community at large and the people within it. And that's the right thing, in my opinion.
Yes, sure.
So go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, for people that don't know, I mean, most judges really work hard at that and put a lot of work into giving that appearance.
Yeah. I don't I don't pay dues to any political party.
Hmm.
I don't profess to be a member of any political party. I don't vote straight tickets, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And when during the course of this election season, people will tell you that they have seen me at campaign events for Republicans and Democrats because Republicans and Democrats vote. and I'm looking and I'm looking for votes, right? I'm
Yes,
looking for
yes.
votes. And I should be there and I should help to encourage them and inspire them to vote for me because of my qualifications, not because I'm a member of their particular party.
Yes.
So the other thing that I think is very important and what's being lost, and what I am really a bit dismayed about in this particular campaign, both for myself and for the other judicial seat in the 14th Circuit that's going on, is there is a level of discourse that is taking place, at least certainly on one side in my
Okay.
race,
Okay.
that is troubling.
Okay.
You see, in my opinion, judges have to kind of be considered by you and my fellow citizens who are not judges as a little above what we have seen as traditional partisan politics.
Okay. I'm gonna put on my journalist hat, Judge Pittman. I'm gonna press into this a little bit further, and if I press in too far, you tell me to back off. But again, we know how much animus is built up during these elections, and
Right.
again, this is a nonpartisan election, and I joked with one of the other judge candidates. I was like, people really just when you go out and campaign, people really just want to know what do you do, you know. But there has been some animus you've picked up in the public in your current race.
Yes.
I've seen some things on Facebook that I kind of partially read, but eh, can you go a little further? Tell us,
Sure.
maybe address that issue on Facebook, and then if there's some things specifically, I don't
Sure.
want to air out every item that may have been said about you. That we don't do that with any candidates, but I've asked other candidates to maybe respond to some of the negative things they've heard. Just to kind of give people a general idea to kind of what we do in the shows, we get the truth out.
Okay. All
And
right.
so we
Well,
want to get to the truth.
yeah, I thank you for the opportunity because
Yes.
this is normally the kind of discourse that would take place on a debate stage, maybe, or
Yes.
in a town hall forum where
Yes.
folks could engage with one another who are candidates about the things that they think about themselves and about what they think about the other candidate.
Yes.
My opponent will not engage in that kind of discourse.
So is there not going to be a debate, or
There won't be a debate. There
was
was
one
one to have been
proposed?
scheduled for the 25th, which was last Tuesday.
Okay.
It had to be canceled because certainly in my race, my opponent would not make the time to come and stand shoulder to shoulder and talk about his qualifications and my qualifications.
Okay.
So we're kind of left with these social media platforms. You see
Sure.
a ton of signs around,
Hmm.
and then there's the stuff that's on commercials on television and social media. So one of the things that's kind of gotten out here is my candidate has, or my opponent has, co-opted this incident from 20 years ago,
Okay.
wherein I wound up having a couple who were in my court on a personal protection order matter,
Okay.
handcuffed to be transported to holding as I was anticipating holding a contempt hearing because I thought that one of them was lying and I didn't know which one.
Hmm.
And I was I had to deal with other matters and I had them taken into and held in our holding cell, which is not that terribly unusual.
Hmm.
And as a result, that woman and man were kept handcuffed together, which was not my intent.
Hmm.
My intent was for them to be handcuffed to be transported, which is protocol
Yes.
here in the courthouse when one deputy is transporting more than one person. But I took responsibility for that and I apologize for that because as the judge on that case, it's my responsibility to make sure that my order
Sure.
It's carried out. And number one. Number two, that no person is put in that kind of a position. And I don't blame her
Hmm.
for feeling badly and being upset about how things turned out and her continuing to be handcuffed to uh, her husband at the time, but they were estranged.
Okay.
And I apologize for that. I
Okay.
reached out to her through legal counsel, through
Okay.
her attorney,
Yes.
and said, listen, I need to meet and apologize to this lady
Okay.
on my own. And we did that.
And this was not during the campaign, Joe. This was years ago.
This was 20 years ago,
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
2002.
All right.
She filed a grievance against me with what's called the Judicial Tenure Commission.
Okay.
And I had to respond and deal with that grievance.
Sure.
I'm going to hold a document up. I'm not savvy enough to show you how documents, how to post it.
Uh-huh.
But here, if you can see that,
Okay.
you can see that entitled Judicial Tenure Commission.
Yes.
You can see that it says personal and confidential.
Okay.
Addressed to me in care of, I engaged legal counsel
Sure.
to help me through this process. And
Yes.
you can see the grievance number.
Uh-huh.
That's what I had to deal with.
Okay.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
I don't argue that was an appropriate step for her to take if she felt that level of umbrage about
Hmm.
what I did. And I'm going to read a paragraph from you. And Mel, here's the thing. This is the first time I've ever discussed this.
Okay.
Why? Because if you can see on that letter, what is it?
Personal and confidential.
Personal and confidential.
Yes.
That is not only for my benefit or for my purpose, but it's also for hers and the other party's purpose.
Yes.
She has chosen to speak about it often.
Okay.
I've never spoken about it.
Okay.
So the letter starts, Dear Judge Pittman, the Judicial Tenure Commission has completed its review of this grievance, your initial reply, which I had to reply to it, as well as your response to the 28-day letter, which
Hmm.
is essentially you have 28 days because we think there's enough here for us to want to look a little further.
Sure.
You have 28 days to respond again. And then your counsel's comments. The commission wishes to express concern for your handling of the show cause hearing on January 25, 2002 in the Smith versus Smith case. And then they give the case number.
Hmm.
So they are saying, here, we've looked into it. We're concerned.
Yes.
And then they go into explaining what they think they saw and what they think they
Hmm.
understood as their findings.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through all of that. That's
Sure.
about a page and a half.
Okay.
But they end with this. The commission trusts you will demonstrate greater restraint in the future. And
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
It is therefore determined to resolve this matter by admonition, which is a recognized sort of consequence.
Hmm.
The letter goes on to say, which pursuant to Michigan Court Rule 9.207 is not a form of punishment.
Okay.
And it is contingent upon your compliance with the following. Then they said they wanted me to do two things. One, you must provide proof that you extended a written apology to both parties concerning your handling of the matter within 14 days of the date of this letter.
Okay.
And two, you must provide written consent permitting the commission to publicly disclose its determination that this matter was resolved by admonition.
Okay.
Now, what that says, if people aren't following it, is that I was never punished.
Right. Right.
I was given some instruction and told, you do better next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good with that.
Okay.
Supposed to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And part of the reason that they went that way is because I took responsibility
Okay.
and I admitted or I agreed to this is a good way for us to resolve this matter.
Sure. Sure.
And There was no problem extending a written apology within 14 days because I had already
I see.
personally
Sure.
apologized of my own volition on my
Okay.
own
Okay.
with this woman. I offered the same thing to the man. He said he declined. He said, I don't need your apology. You haven't done anything that I think was out of line.
Okay. Okay.
Let me explain a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, again, that's how that was resolved. That wasn't resolved by any discipline.
Sure.
It certainly was not resolved by any discipline by the Michigan Supreme Court.
Sure.
Yet my opponent, this woman, have put out that I was disciplined by the Michigan Supreme Court.
Okay.
That's not true.
Exactly.
That's inaccurate. And
Yeah.
here's the record.
Okay. Now she has a copy of that same document, right? I mean, they respond to her bringing the issue, correct?
She doesn't have a copy of this document,
But she has a response from
but
the
she
review
has a
board,
response
from the review board.
from the review board, from the Judicial Tenure Commission,
Okay.
and
Yes.
I have no idea what that response says because it's personal and confidential
So,
to her.
I see.
I
But
haven't asked.
but it didn't. She would know it didn't come from the Michigan Supreme Court.
She would absolutely know
Yes. Okay.
that the Michigan Supreme Court, if the Michigan Supreme Court had gotten involved in this would have been a public
Sure.
complaint filed.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It would have been a case number assigned to it from the Michigan Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had to go before them in some hearing setting,
Mm-hmm.
and they would then publish their results in their reports that are memorialized in these big law books that you see in the courtroom in
Right.
offices.
Right.
It would be there forever. It would be called In Re, INRE Pittman, and it would be and it would have a case number.
I see. Okay. All right.
None of that's been produced, but let me share something else. That's me sharing the result from the commission. What people really don't remember because it's so old is that there was an attorney who wrote a letter back in the good old days when we had a functioning Muskegon Chronicle.
Okay.
And he was a witness to most of what occurred.
Okay.
And his name was Frank Carosa. He's no longer with us. He's deceased, bless his heart. And he wrote to the writer of the article in the newspaper, a guy named John Hausman, good man.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts, I have read your article in the Chronicle dated February 20, 2002 concerning Judge Pittman cuffing spouses together with great interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to try and read the whole letter. It's about a page and a half. But he says, while Mr. and Mrs. Smith were cuffed together, I was sitting in another conference room with Sabrina's attorney, and I'm not going to mention that attorney's name.
Mm-hmm.
That attorney, and wherever that is, the name is in the letter. That attorney left the conference room to talk to her client and then came back into the conference room. This man is watching all of this.
Okay.
In my presence, Judge Pittman then sat down in the conference room, and the attorney stated to Judge Pittman that Sabrina Smith had informed the attorney that she lied.
Mm.
And that she did, in fact, voluntarily go over to her husband's residence while her PPO against him was in effect. And that was the point of contention.
Sure. Right. Right.
If you have an order of protection, he shouldn't come near you, but hey, you shouldn't be going there.
Right. Right.
That's what he alleged.
Sure.
The attorney also stated in my presence to Judge Pittman that Sabrina Smith wanted to withdraw her motion against her husband, Kirk Smith, for violation of the PPO.
Okay.
His next paragraph, I think, is also dispositive. Judge Pittman indicated to Sabrina's attorney in the conference room that he would not find Sabrina Smith in contempt of court for lying under oath.
Okay.
Judge Pittman stated that he would grant her amnesty and that he would continue Sabrina's PPO against her husband.
Okay.
Judge Pittman reconvened court. The attorney withdrew her client's motion to find Kirk Smith in contempt of court for violation of the PPO. Judge Pittman specifically told both parties when he signs an order, he intends it to be obeyed.
Yes.
Judge Pittman told Kirk Smith he's not to be around Sabrina Smith. And if Sabrina Smith wants a PPO against Kirk Smith, then she cannot voluntarily show up at Kirk's house anytime she chooses. Now, these are the things
Yes.
that he's witnessing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll end with this here. I would like to indicate that when a litigant, in parents, he says, in this case, Sabrina Smith, informs their attorney, and that attorney represents to the judge the litigant's statement of fact,
Mm-hmm.
that judge must rely on that statement. Everything I did after that
Yes.
was based upon what was represented to me by
Mm.
her through her counsel.
Yes. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Campaign is campaigning, and people tell parts of stories.
Exactly.
And again, the record's there.
The
And they
record
don't
is there.
say, I also, in addition to him doing what I didn't like, he also didn't send me to jail for contempt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Judge, I want to make sure before we get out of time, again, not without going through every detail, and I
Sure.
appreciate you laying it out because, again, people see these things. But I know your opponent has also had a couple of misrepresentations that have kind of been glaring.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I want you to maybe just take a minute without a whole lot of detail, but I think that you probably want to address today or
Sure.
point us
Thank you.
to.
Because if I had the opportunity to stand with him, I would
Yeah,
challenge those things
sure,
directly with him.
sure. And I do want to tell people we haven't tried to invite every candidate, so he has had an opportunity and been invited to be in this forum, and the door is still open if
It
you'd like to
is.
interview with us.
I will meet anywhere, anytime, with whomever is the moderator
Yes.
in any forum that he would agree. I would clear my schedule to make that occur.
Yes.
So one thing I do want to share with folks here is that what people don't know is that at the beginning of this entire campaign,
Mm-hmm.
when everybody was authorized for the primary to be on the ballot,
Mm-hmm.
there were three opponents that I had in that
Right.
race.
Right.
Those three attorneys came together and filed a restraining order case against me.
Now, when you say restraining order, everybody first reacts is, "Were you going to jump on him, Judge Pittman?" Or okay, so
What they wanted to restrain
okay,
was me being able to refer to myself in any way during the course of the campaign as judge or chief judge or honorable, in any way to utilize the designation of my office when I
okay,
refer to myself.
okay.
They literally wanted a judge to say, Judge Pittman, you can't be Judge Pittman.
You have to act like him, follow all the rules of a judge, but you
Yeah.
can't be called judge. Okay.
I
And
found
so
that to be utterly ridiculous.
okay, so they filed that back during the primary.
Yes.
And what was the outcome of that?
That judge, bless his heart, saw through all of that foolishness and said, are you kidding? That is who he is. You can't take his identity away from him.
Uh-huh.
He denied the restraining order at the beginning. It's called sort of a TR, temporary restraining order, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have a full hearing. When he denied that restraining order, the two of the opponents immediately said, you know what? We're out. We
Yeah.
hear you. We're not going to continue with this ridiculous lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Then the only person who continued with it is my current opponent.
Okay.
And we had to go all the way through to a full-blown hearing
Okay.
at which the judge had to tell him again, you can't do that.
Right.
Your case has no merit. Now, I want to say two things about that. First of all, the first thing that you do when you want to be an opponent and get elected to the bench is try to deny the identity of the other opponent.
Okay.
That's weak as water. Secondly, as a lawyer,
Yes.
you are failing to properly evaluate the merit of your case. Because if you bring a case, you should think that you can win that case.
Yes. Yes.
Third, and I got a third thing, when this judge has explained to you, not only with the denial, but a 3.5-page opinion to go along with it, and you
Okay.
still can't see it, I call into question your capabilities to be a good arbiter of fact, law, and to sit in judgment. This guy shouldn't be a judge because
Yeah.
he's not even a good lawyer.
Had you ever heard of a case like that? I mean, people run for. I mean, was he without any precedent when they went for this TRO or?
Yeah, there is absolutely precedent for the idea that a person running for a judgeship cannot misidentify themselves.
Sure. I mean, but
There's precedent for that.
sure, sure.
There is no precedent for a judge who's running for a seat to not be able to call himself judge.
Yes.
That's who I am.
Yes.
That's the equivalent of him coming in and saying, Your Honor, he can call himself judge, but I don't want him to call himself Gregory at all.
Yeah.
He's limited from calling himself Gregory. He's got to be Isidore from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I clearly see that, and I can understand. So many things happen on the campaign trail, and time is valuable, money is valuable, and so you had to spend some time on this issue. And again,
Oh, wait a minute. I want to interrupt you.
okay,
Not only did we have to spend time, I went and got legal counsel because I know better than to go in and represent myself.
sure.
He didn't hire an attorney. He did the case on his own.
He represented himself.
I have a $6,000 legal bill that I
Okay.
have to pay for. He
There's
doesn't
an
have
old,
a legal
there's an
bill.
old saying about attorney that represents himself, isn't it?
Hey man, you said it, not me.
I heard it. I watched Law and Order. I heard it years ago.
But if you're going to represent yourself, at least be a good attorney.
Yes. Yeah.
I just don't have any respect for his legal acumen if you thought that this was a legitimate, meritorious legal claim that you could bring and win.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what clogs up our court system.
Yeah.
And this is the man who wants to be in charge of your court system.
Yeah.
Doesn't compute.
Yeah. And Judge Pittman, again, everybody knows I've known you a lot of years. And again, we go back to high school, at least the middle school, but
Oh man, elementary school.
yeah, that's right. and you're locked into, I've seen you through different elections, and just talking to you today, I don't say it's the campaign, but knowing you, there's some sort of indignation about maybe that you've done something dishonest or that people aren't putting the truthful record. That you're willing to, and I don't want to speak for you, that you don't mind running as Judge Pittman, decisions you've made, but let's put the accurate truth out there.
Yeah, here's the deal, Mel, and I would say this to anybody, and this is a teachable moment that I've certainly shared with my children.
Sure.
Is that facts are the foundation of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow the facts, you'll get to the truth.
Yes.
And the facts don't change. You're my friend, and I'd imagine you support me. I'd imagine you're going to vote for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can show you the facts, and you don't have to fudge this for me in any kind of way. It says what it says.
Mm-hmm.
And as lawyers and as people who want to be the arbiters of cases for people, we have to be jealously fidelitous to truth and facts.
Yeah. And I guess we start off talking about the nuanced difference between other candidates running. And after this election, you still got to be an attorney that represents himself in court. And, we know some political ads, we've seen ads and they're just all over the place. And, one person says a guy killed a guy. This person says, he saved his life, but when it's said and done, you still have to represent. You have to be an attorney that can stand there with some integrity and people can say, I choose you to represent me. And again, that makes this whole nuance different running for the judge.
Yeah. The harm that's being done here is that all of us have to now go back to trying to be credible.
Yes.
And that people will accept us as credible.
Yes.
And each of us, I don't care, how much truth I have on my side, I've been damaged.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who are just never going to accept that truth because you put that lie out there with such ferocity and such wide-ranging coverage that I won't ever recover completely.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, and I know you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 61 years in this community.
Yes.
My family is a linchpin family of the city of Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
I got 24 years on this bench, 31 years in the practice of law. You can't change who I am.
Okay.
You can't tell people who I am. I can't hide for 24 years being something other than what you now know me to be, which
Yes.
is a firm, fair, hardworking judge with character and integrity. And I don't care what anybody is trying to put out there.
Okay. All right. Judge Pittman, if people got about 11 days, if people want to maybe help with the campaign or give to the campaign, how can they get in touch with you?
www.pittman, Pittman, for judge.com. www.pittman4judge.com.
Judge Pittman, we're sorry we ran out of time. We could do this for, every time we see each other. We always say we need to spend more time talking. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you on the campaign trail. I will look forward to talking to you later on, maybe around election day. Okay.
Bless your heart, man. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Okay. You take care now.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Torn in Two. There you were with Judge Gregory Pittman, who's running for judgeship on the 14th Circuit Court. Again, in addition to all the partisan elections you see out there, make sure you pay attention to those nonpartisan races, as well as those proposals on the ballot. And so, again, we hope that what we're presenting to you here at Torn in Two is behind the curtains, broken glass. We have seen these candidates beyond a bumper sticker, beyond a bulletin board, beyond a street sign. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep the show going here. Thank you, Michael Smith. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, and I agree, but you are correct, sir. The FCC does not regulate the truth of ads, just the equal time. And again, that's why we get ads that are so all over the place. I appreciate that comment, Michael. It's good to have you back with us this week. Hello, Ms. Threadgill. You commend Judge for both his integrity and his thorough explanation and disclosure. Your record and demeanor tells who you are. I'm sure Judge Pittman appreciates hearing those comments. Thank you, Ms. Threadgill. This time, we're going to have up, and I appreciate her waiting. We're going to have the Muskegon Heights City Clerk, Ms. Jennifer Ross. Ms. Clerk, how are you today? I can't hear you, and let's see.
I was still muted.
Okay.
Here I am.
And let me apologize for going a little bit over. And I know you've been sitting there patiently waiting. I know you have a tight schedule. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for waiting patiently.
It's fine. I think it's fine. Judge Pittman really needed to get his story out there. I've seen the attacks against him, and so I bow down to Judge Pittman anyway. So
okay. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. I'm enjoying my day off.
Okay. Okay. You took a day off? No, I'm just kidding. People know the city hall is closed on Fridays. So
Yes.
11 days till election day.
Yeah, 11 days.
How are things going?
Things are going good. As most people know, I am new to this position.
Yes.
So I've had it's been a great learning experience. I've never seen an election from this side before.
Mhm.
So it has been a really good learning experience. We have sent out over 800 absentee ballots.
Okay.
And received, as of this morning, as of yesterday, close of business, about 53% back.
Okay.
So, so about 53% back. So that's that's really good, and it's about the average for other communities as well.
Okay.
So everything is going good, and you can still register to receive an absentee ballot at the clerk's office. So I am there Monday through Thursday next week from 9 to 6:30. And then we'll have special hours on next Saturday as well, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Is that for voting or for absentee ballots?
That is for absentee ballots, but you can fill it out right there. We will have privacy booths set up. So you can come in, get the application, get your ballot, and fill it out there, and you're done.
So it's next Saturday from what time?
Next Saturday, I'll be there from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Oh, that's a full day.
That's a full day.
Okay. And now, if somebody says I'm not registered, today is October 28th, what can they do to still get registered for this election?
To register to vote?
Yes.
Okay, so because we're within the 14 days, they do have to
Hmm.
register in person.
Okay.
So again, you just go to your clerk's office and tell them that you want to register to vote, and they will get you taken care of.
Okay. What do they need to bring with them if they want to register?
Either an ID or you can sign an affidavit. Um,
Okay.
but that's it. And then proof of residency. If you just moved and your ID doesn't reflect, where you live at now, utility bill. I don't know if leasing information would count, but I think it could. But yeah, just something that you shows that you now reside at the address that you're claiming you reside at.
Okay. Now, and I should notice I walk past it all the time. Is there still the ballot box sitting in front of City Hall? So people,
Absolutely. So if you've already received your ballot, you can drop it off anytime. There's a ballot right outside the front door. I mean, a box. I'm sorry, right outside the front door at City Hall. It's very secure, so you can just drop it in the box. And then also there is a box inside City Hall. So if it's during business hours and I'm busy or something, you can just drop it in the box inside. And it's as soon as you come into the lobby, it's to the right. Um,
okay.
so we do want you to make sure that if you're not personally putting that in my hand, that you are putting it in the box that are secured.
Okay.
Please don't go into the office and just drop it on the desk. Don't do that.
Don't give it to somebody
Make
and say, hey,
sure,
give this to Jen when you see her.
yeah,
Don't do
don't do
that.
that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Make sure
Yeah.
it is in a secured ballot box.
Okay. Okay. So between now and the 11th, what things are you doing to get ready for election day? What, in terms of behind the scenes preparing, what's taking place?
So we've already secured all of the precinct workers. So that is
Okay.
done. We'll be meeting with them this week. Also, the public accuracy test that is set up for 10 a.m. I believe on Thursday. So that's where the public can come in and just make sure that all of the test ballots, everything is accurate. So if you
Okay,
have
wait a
any
minute. Wait a
questions,
minute. Now let me back. So you mean to tell me anybody from the public can
mhm,
come in and watch you all use the machines to make sure they count the way they're supposed to count? Oh,
absolutely. And that's
oh.
for every election. There's a public accuracy test for every election. So,
You think that
um,
would cut down on lawsuits, wouldn't you?
I mean, you think, but
Yeah.
we all,
I'm being sarcastic, but again, and I appreciate you sharing that because people probably still don't know
mhm,
that they can actually come watch the machines use, see that they count correctly.
mhm,
Um, Basically, you can show people how they work.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So that is open to the public, 10 a.m. Thursday, and there'll be someone from the county there as well to help me with that process. Again, it is my first election. I'm excited though.
Well, well, good,
But
good,
the
good.
county has been really, really good about helping answer any questions, and so have all of the clerks in the county.
Well, that's
There's a
great.
clerks association, so everybody has been really, really helpful, and it's making the process so much smoother. I've even had clerks reach out from across the state. So
Well, that's
um,
good. That's
the
good.
Michigan Clerks Association is really good about just supporting one another, and so it's been a great, great process.
Good. So now the precinct workers, will they? You said you meet with them. You do training with them. I mean, we have the same machines, and I don't know how
Yep.
many things are different, but you'll meet and
Nope.
have a little training session.
Uh, it'll just be a brief training. Not, I wouldn't even say training. A brief meeting.
Okay.
They've already been trained by the county.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good.
yeah, everybody and they're seasoned. They've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So they're pretty seasoned and they know each other and they like working together. So it'll just be a brief meeting. I introduced myself to them during the primary. I went out into each precinct and just introduced myself. But this will be just kind of a reintroduction and just making sure that some of the things, um, just making sure we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Okay. Now, if people want to see a sample ballot, where can they find a copy of a sample ballot?
The sample ballots, I believe, are on the county website.
Okay.
Um, and I can't, off the top of my head, I don't remember what the actual website is, but you can find them on the county website. They do have
Okay.
the sample ballots there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. And so people hopefully take advantage of that and do their research ahead of time.
Yeah,
Um, Anything
absolutely.
else you want to make sure people know prior to the big day coming up November 8th?
Yes, absolutely. So I know, we've said that, well, I've said that we've gotten 53% of the ballots back, but we also have had 2 write-in candidates
Okay.
since ballots have been sent out to write-in candidates that are going to be eligible write-ins for this election, and they are both for the
Hmm.
school board. So
Okay.
just want everyone to be aware. I think they're doing some things via social media and like telephone bank type stuff. But Mr. Aviance Watts
Okay.
and Cassandra Kitchen are both going to be eligible write-in candidates. So um, if you haven't heard, now you know.
Okay. So, okay, now this might there's a school candidates on the ballot.
Yes,
Okay, and then now they have two write-in candidates.
and 2 write-ins. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I got my sample ballot, but I honestly haven't gone through it yet. Uh,
Yeah.
like I
It's a
should
lot,
have.
especially with the proposals too. So I would suggest if you're not sure, which way you want to go on those proposals, the information is on the Secretary of State website.
Hmm.
As far as the kind of breaks it down a little bit more.
Sure.
Um, so for anybody who's not sure, you can definitely go check it out and just make sure you do your research.
Okay.
Research those candidates. If you're not um, comfortable voting straight party, then make sure you research the individuals and make good informed decisions.
Yes. Well, Jen, I know you took time off of your day off to spend with us. We appreciate it so much. We want to
Mhm.
wish you the best of luck on your first big general election. We hope that
Thank you.
everything goes well. We hope to get those results early as
Uh-huh.
possible on Tuesday. We wish you really tremendous success and hope everything goes well without a hitch. Things always happen. Don't panic. Just ride it out. And we'll look forward to communicate with you as we get closer to election day. Okay.
All right. I appreciate it. I just want again to Mr. Burns, just let people know if you want to vote by absentee, come see me. And we will get you squared away this week. And
And people don't know again. Tell people the hours that your office is open.
all right, so this week it'll be Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And there is a election coordinator room in City Hall. Many people don't know this.
Okay.
So I'm not in the clerk's office this week. I am down the north corridor across from the inspections department.
Okay.
So there's a room back there that has everything that we need. My office is kind of small. I ain't up with the big dogs yet. So um, there's an election coordinator room. So I will be in there again Monday through Thursday this week from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And then special hours on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for those that work during the week and are busy with things with the kids. And I understand. Okay.
Sure.
So we will
Uh,
be there next Saturday as well from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you can
okay.
make sure that your vote is counted.
All right. Jen, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day off. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye now. Ladies and gentlemen, again, trying to give you all the information that you need. Look, you can register in Michigan up to the last minute. Bring your ID. You can register. You can vote absentee. You can drop the ballots off. The whole idea is we want you to participate in this election process. Okay. And so if you have questions, contact the Muskegon Heights City Clerk or the clerk in the community you live in. Get you if you need an absentee ballot. If you plan to show up election day, make sure you clear your schedule off, rain or shine, that you get out there and vote. All right. Well, we have a few minutes left today. What do you want to talk about, folks? In addition to all the political ads you see, hopefully, folks in Michigan noticed. We also have some proposals on the ballot. Proposal 3 is dominating the ballot, of course. But have you guys paid attention? Have you noticed there's also two other proposals on the ballot? We had Mrs. Wang here a couple of weeks ago. We interviewed her concerning proposal 2, but there's also proposal 1. So, what do you think about proposal 1? I had a just brief discussion on Facebook last night with a good, knowledgeable friend of mine, and listened to his positions about it. And um, Have you paid any attention? Have you gotten your sample ballot? And again, if you have not, I strongly encourage you. Again, you can go on the county clerk website, download a copy of the actual ballot. Almost every county in Michigan, and take a look at those proposals. Don't wait and wing it. Flip a coin when you get into the ballot box, and do some research. There's a number of sites that will give you biased and independent analysis of those various proposals. Okay, so I want to make sure that you take the time to do that. And we have a tendency sometimes to get caught up in the sexy races, the governor's race and the Senate races. But we know that the saying goes, politics begins here at home. So we've got school board candidates, we've got county commission candidates, our local state representatives. So let's not let's not forsake one for the other. Let's make sure we give some time and attention to our local issues. Let's make sure we give some time and attention to our local candidates as well as our national candidates. Okay. Well, good. Election season. Are you guys? We had about again 11 more days. Commercials, commercials, commercials. Um, have you found your favorites? I find a certain time at night. I don't know what they call it, but man, you get about 5 or 10 back to back, and you get to the point it's like, man, I can almost cite this commercial word for word. Michael Smith has a question from last week. Do you know if Mr. Gibbs, Michael Anthony Smith, question from last week show, do you know if Mr. Gibbs is a 2022 election Denise? Mr. Smith, I'm gonna have to apologize. I'm not sure what you mean by that term, election Denise. I apologize for my ignorance. I'm not sure what you mean by that term. Okay. Um, and maybe you can explain as we're going here, but God, we're being inundated with commercials about various candidates, and hopefully, again, you do a little research beyond the commercials. Again, if you heard our interview last week, we just commented that we had two candidates who were running against each other, and that was kind of a nice way to do the interviews, to hear them. You got a chance to hear them back to back. Oh, if Mr. Gibbs is an election denial. All right, Mr. Smith. We did not ask him that last week. Um, we didn't ask him that specific question. So I don't want to speak out of school and speak for him, but we didn't get a chance to ask him about where he stood on the 2020 election. I've heard some people say that he was one of those, but we didn't ask him that. So I don't know how he'd respond to that today. But again, that's a very good question. That is also a big issue, not just in Michigan, but throughout the country. We have again, you know what they are, people who basically deny that President Biden won the 2020 election. And that's a big issue. Particularly, a lot of those issues were sorted out during the primary, particularly the Republican primary. But even still, we get to many of the general elections. We have candidates who are, they're the main platform. The main plank in their campaign platform is denying the 2020 election results, and so that's one of the issues, as well as one of the main issues on the ballot is again abortion rights in a number of states, and how the parties have lined themselves up either for or against that issue. So a lot of major issues out here for us to discuss, to talk about, to vote on in 2022. I was just thinking the other day, both Greg and I often talked about what happens the day after election day, what that day is like. Yes, Mr. Smith. The casino is back on the table. Mr. Smith, to be so far away, you keep up with your Muskegon news. Yes, sir. For those of you that did not see, and again, Mr. Smith, appreciate you. If you recall, a few months ago, the governor did not sign the agreement to allow the casino in Muskegon. We saw in the last day or two that um, the tribe has been invited by the Department of Interior to resubmit their application. So if you are a opponent, I guess you need to, take those signs out the trash can and get back to fighting. If you are a proponent, maybe you take this as a positive sign that at least the issue was being re-examined again. And so, and a lot of people thought that at the time that even though the governor didn't sign it, that there was a possibility that it was not a completely dead issue. Um, is it is it is it timing? It just happened to come out a couple of weeks before election day. But regardless how political it is, again, here we are, late October, and now we know that issue has been resurrected. And so we'll be having more discussion about that. Yes, Mr. Smith, you are a certainly a tiger for life. So am I, sir. When again, we appreciate you tuning in, and listening to the program from down there in Houston, Texas. Well, folks, again, we hope that you are enjoying these programs that we're presenting to you. Again, I mentioned when Judge Pittman was on, I want to remind you that we try to give all the candidates an opportunity. We call, we invite. We certainly don't want to have one candidate on without giving his opponent the opportunity. And for whatever reasons, whether people don't have time constraints, don't feel like this is an appropriate format for them, but we do our best to offer you, again, insight, to give you a chance to question, hear candidates interviewed without all the sound bites. Without, again, we see these TV commercials, man, they are so extreme sometimes. And I'm saying, you know, you get to a point when you hear them and you almost go, that probably is not true. And they're often not the candidates. If you pay attention, a lot of the extreme commercials you'll see are by the political action committees, where let's just loosely say the candidates don't have any say. And so you have these other political action committees that run the attack ads, that run the ads against the other candidate. And man, they don't get any kinder. They don't get any friendlier. And I dare to say they don't necessarily get any clearer or more accurate as the years go by. And certainly this year is no exception. When the stakes are high, as they are this election, that people are apt to take more chances, be riskier, push the envelope a little bit further. And so we hope that you're doing your work to be educated. We hope that you're doing your work to, again, go beyond the sound bites, go beyond a 30-second commercial to see and hear what's going on as we prepare for these elections. Mr. Smith, we got to have a show about this school board in Muskegon Heights. Well, we appreciate the suggestion. I guess Mr. Roberts and I will talk about that and see uh, where we want to go with that. There's certainly a lot going on there. I don't pretend to have my finger on the pulse of it, even to be able to talk about it intellectually, even today. But certainly, again, I see the posts, I see the news stories, and there's a lot to go on that we probably need to try to wrap our minds around and as a community and figure out where we're going. Yes. Miss Benita, no an- no answer can be an answer in itself. Many ask for our vote, but don't feel they need to be transparent. Now, that's a good point. Again, candidates, they choose their reasons to not show up for debates. They choose a reason to not campaign sometimes in some neighborhoods, and that says something. Sometimes they don't want to come on certain news programs to interview, and certainly we do our best. Again, we've said this many times. Um, we don't publicly support any candidate. We certainly exercise our right to vote, but we try to do our best job to let people know. Even though many of these candidates we've known for years, some we know and like, some we know maybe have issues with, but we do our best when they come on here to try to put ourselves in your position as listeners. And you don't care that much what I think about a candidate, but hopefully we can present a candidate to you, ask some questions that you might want to ask, get into some discussion that you may want us to get into that helps you make informed decisions. Hopefully we do that in a way and in a manner that's respectful and also informative. And again, if we fall short, it's not because we are not trying and not giving our best effort. And so, yes, Benita, I agree with you. Sometimes when you don't get an answer, it says something. Every candidate can tell you when they campaign every year, they hear that, I can think about good times back in the day when the candidates would come around. Man, you only come around here when it's election time. And people certainly feel that way. Now, that's not true of every candidate, every elected official, but if your constituents feel that way, if your potential constituents feel that way, then that's an issue. They may vote for you once, but when you come around again, they're going to remind you that was the last time they saw you. And so people do want to feel represented. And again, if they only see you election time, people feel used, and you should express that to the candidates. Just because if they come to your house, if they come to your door, in a respectful way, you should tell them how you feel. It makes them better candidates, and it's your opportunity. And so you're not obligated to just say what they want to hear. And there's a tendency sometimes, oh, I know this person stopped me, but in a respectful way, this your door, that's your opportunity to say some things. Maybe you have a way of saying something that they had not heard before. So I certainly encourage you. We all get fed up, but I encourage people, respond to those polls sometimes. Fill those things out online, or they call our cell phones, they text us, but um, sometimes we need to respond to those. They just know our opinions. We always say, "Oh, those polls only poll a certain number of people." Well, participate in it. It's a way for you to participate in this whole process, for your voice to be heard, for your opinion to be expressed. And so, again, I want to encourage you to do those things. I believe they, in turn, help us to pick better candidates and to have candidates who are actually listening to what people want, and not just trying to say things that please us. So, again, I encourage you to do that. Um, Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great show. Thank you, Judge Pittman. Thank you, Jen Ross. My brother Greg. Hey, brother, get well. I enjoyed doing this with you. I look forward to being with you next Friday. My brother Greg would always say, you folks out there, if you want to have a good weekend, if you want to have a great weekend, I'll tell you what you do. Go out there, sow a seed, be a blessing in somebody else's life. This is Torn in Two. We'll see you next week.